Hey guys, Kirk here, and welcome to another video on my channel. In this video it's going to be about creating a landscape material, applying it to the landscape, and we're going to create three layers on the landscape, and which we can paint onto the landscape itself. If you have any questions about my videos or need to get in touch with me by any means, then there is a link in the description for a Discord I'm in. I'm an admin in there, so I'm easily contactable. So if you have any questions or for me or anyone, just jump in the Discord and verify yourself and come and ask away. We're always happy to help. So what we're doing, like I said, we're going to apply a landscape to this. Apply a landscape material to this landscape. We're going to create three layers, have them blend together, and sort out the tiling so we can tile it. This is going to be the first video in a few videos in which we create a decent landscape material ready to use. But like I say, in this one it's just going to be creating the layers to paint on the landscape with tiling and blending. In the next video I will go over distant tiling, in which we can increase the scale of the tiling at distance compared to close to the camera. And after that it will be going into functions. I may create a function now for the tiling with you guys, but yeah, we'll see how it goes, shall we? So let's get started. What I've already done is create a landscape folder and a functions folder ready to use. All you have to do is right click, go to the top and go on new folder, create a folder. So yeah, let's get started. So if I'm going to right click in the content browser, I'm going to create materials, keeping my naming conventions, KM-landscape. Oh, hang on a minute, I'm not spelling escape right. Escape. Yeah, just keep it like that. KM landscape. I'm going to right click that landscape and create a material instance, and this material instance is going to sit on here. So make sure you've got the instance selected, come to your landscape material slot when your landscape is highlighted and just press that little back arrow and it will apply that material instance to the landscape. Yes, it looks funky now, that's because we've got absolutely no information in there and no materials or textures. So let's create them now. I'm going to create the material function first, the tiling one. So you would right click, go onto the materials tab here, not this top one, just the materials tab, and create material function. I'm just going to call this KM dash tiling logic. This is for future reference for the channel. And then we would just press enter, and if we double click this, we then have a material function. If you're unsure about this UI or anything like that, my previous video goes over how all this works, the UI, and how to change these, and it's just a detailed about the UI. If I click stats again, you can see I've got an error that will go away shortly. I'm going to change this output name by highlighting the output like so, and just coming into the details panel and the output name. If I change this to M-A for material attributes, and I'm going to set the priority of 0. The priority is just the order in which the output pins are stacked in the function. Oh no, not material attributes, I'm just going to put tiling actually, or MA space tiling. For future reference, just copy along, we're going to create a tiling far and near. Like I said, I may not go over it in this video, it may be in the next video. So tiling near, and then, oh no, tiling dash far. We do this, and now we have them two. If I swap them over because we need them right, So this set priority is 0, so that'll be top of the list. The near I'm going to set to 1, so that's second in the list, and the far is going to be 2, so that'll be third in the list. And then what we're going to drag out of is a divide node. Hold D on the keyboard and left click, it will give you a divide. A lot of people use tiling with a multiply, but I don't want to multiply the scale of my texture. I want to divide it away from the UVs, so if I increase the numbers for the tiling, then it will increase the actual texture itself, not decrease it. You'll see that in action shortly. So if you hold U on the keyboard and left click, it will make a texture coordinate. You just put that on the A slot of the divide node, and then in here we will drag off there and type input, and that's going to create a function input. This will become apparent later. We'll keep it as a scalar parameter, and we will just call this tiling. Actually, we'll change that, keep the tiling bit, but I'm going to put an L and then space and dash and tiling. And the reason I've done that will come apparent in future videos, but it just enables me to quickly put a number in there for each layer. So I'm going to drop that down. I'm going to give it a preview where it says use preview value as default. So what that means is, if outside this function, if there's nothing plugged into it, that it will fall back to this default value. If you press 1 on the keyboard, it will bring up a constant vector 1, and we'll drag that into the preview, and we'll just simply put a 1 in here. Oh no, I'll put a 2 actually, like so, and drag that close like that. And now we've got this, we would simply bring our output over and drag this into our output, and you'll see now we have UVs, as you can see in the preview. What I want to do is just copy this, paste it, and in this one I'm going to leave it L and then put tiling dash near, do it again, and then select this, tiling dash far. And these will be used later or in the next video. We'll see how long this one takes. We'll just plug these into here, plug that into there, and like the priorities that I've set here, let's move all these up. So we're going to set the priorities of these inputs. So the outputs are there, and these function inputs are the inputs. So I'm going to put that at 0. I'm going to do the near to 1 and the tiling far to 2. And now if I click apply and save, I'll wait there. If you just click anywhere on the graph, not a node, just anywhere on the graph, it'll put this function menu up in the details panel. We want to expose this function to the library, so if we click that and then click apply, and you remember the name, obviously mine's KM tiling. I'm going to save it and just drop out of there, and we're going to open a master material now. As you can see, we'll double click our master material, and if we right click and type KM, you'll see that KM logic is there to be used, and we've created our own function there. You can create as many functions as you want, but it just keeps the material nice and tidy. So from here, what I want to do now is make this landscape material into its own material attributes, and then we're going to right click on the graph and type in landscape, not llama, landscape layer blend. We want the layer blend node. We're going to, for this one, I'm just going to create 3 elements. So in the details panel here on the elements array, just press it 3 times, the plus. The first one we're going to set to a blend type of alpha, which means it's the boss, in other words, and we're going to type auto dash material. Yeah, so this is for future reference. on the channel, because we will be creating an auto material in this material as it's a master, so we do need that at the top. So just set that to alpha blend, and then you can close that back up. And then we've got 2 more layers, so on this I'm going to call it layer -1, and then layer -2. Just ignore the dash things, it's my convention. I'm going to go back on there, and with the blend type we want to set this to height, so we can blend with the height map like so, and there you go. And now we're ready to rock. So to add the layers into this layer blend, we need to make material attributes like so. So if you type make M, it'll bring up the make material attributes, and we can simply plug that into layer 1. And if we Control C, Control V and copy it, and we can plug that into layer 2 like so. Move this tiling node over. Now what I need to do is to choose some textures for this material. So if I go onto my Megascans folder here, if you're unsure of how I've made this folder like this, then I do have another tutorial on the old UI of Unreal Engine 5 and to setting up a scene and all this jazz. So I'd recommend going watching them videos to get up to date and up to speed with this workflow. So I'm going to double click on surfaces. As you can see, I've already got textures already imported. I've got these from Quixel Bridge. So if you're in the main UI, if you click the little plus at the top left and go on to Quixel Bridge, you can import textures from there. If you're unsure about Quixel Bridge, there is lots and lots and lots of videos out there regarding Quixel Bridge. Just go and check them out and then come back here. So yeah, let's open a texture. I'm going to use this Icelandic rock for layer 1, and for layer 2 I want some sort of grassy thing going on. So what, mossy ground? Yeah, this mossy ground will do, like so. And now all we have to do is bang these into the make material attributes, and we will go from there. So if I get this normal map, pull it down here, this ORD texture. The ORD texture is a stacked texture, already stacked by Quixel. So if you go ahead and click on it, the red channel, the green channel and the blue channel all have their own individual texture maps. So that's ambient occlusion. The green channel has the roughness, and the blue channel has the height information. So it's useful to know that. Every material you import from Quixel will have this ORD stack texture, so don't worry if you feel you can't follow along, you will be able to. So from it, I'm going to drag this into the base color. The red channel is the ambient occlusion, so I'll drag that into the ambient occlusion. The green channel is the roughness, so I'll drag that into roughness. The blue channel is the height. We'll come back to that. I'm going to use that to blend the layers together. And from there we're going to plug this RGB pin into the normal. And then from there we can do this tiling into the UVs. Into that UV and into that UV. As you can see, they are black, but don't worry about that just for now. We've not set the defaults. So we're going to get that out the way, like so. We're going to put the albedo into the base color. This is the ORD texture map, like above. The red goes into the ambient occlusion, the green goes into the roughness, and the blue is the height map, and then the normal here goes into the normal pin. Then we'll quickly fire these UVs into here, like so. And what I'm going to do is quickly open this tiling thing. As you can see, it's should be using this, but it's not, so it would work normally. But what we need to do is just right click on this function input pin, As you can see, like I did before in the function, they're all in order. So if you right click on the tiling input, just right click on it and promote to parameter, and then you've got the parameter there ready and waiting. So if I put, with parameters, they're easy, they're very useful and easy to use. So you've got your parameters selected, you can change the name at the top. You can set a default value, which for me is going to be 2. You have a slider minimum. My workflow does a 0.12340 with a 1. And then the slider max I'm going to set at 10. That is for the tiling. Below that you can set a description, but tiling, we know what tiling is. And then you could give it a group. So for this I'm going to put layer space dash blending. And the reason I've done that is, like in the tiling, I'm going to change the numbers to match each layer over time on the channel. And then we could click the set priority, similar to the input and output nodes, to 0, so it's always at the top, like so. And why are these not changing? Oh yeah, they're changing now, back to normal. And that basically is just 2 quick layers into a master material. We save that, go over to our UI, our 3D viewport. As you can see, the landscape is black. That's because we do not have any information inputted from the layers into the landscape. So the layer infos enable the material to talk to the landscape and tell it where to paint. So if we press Shift 2 to bring up landscape, as you can see, I've not got my layers in the paint for some reason. They're not showing up. If I go back to my landscape, did I save this? Oh, it's because I need the height. What I'll do, I'll quickly blend these together. We're going to blend these together with a contrast node. So if we right click and put contrast, and we want to choose the cheap contrast node, and then, like I said, with the height map, your blue pin from your ORD texture, drag that into the input, and we can simply drag that into the height, and then from there we can drag off there and put scalar parameter, and we can call this layer blending. Like so. I think I called this. No, I didn't know. It's right. Sorry, it's somewhat crazy. So for here, I'm just going to do it like before. 0.12340 with a maximum of 5. As you can see, I have my group there. So I have a group, layer blending. Oh, that's why, because I put the tiling into the layer blending. Okay, well that'll do for now. We can change that at a later date. So I'm going to set this as 1, because no doubt, oh no, 2. Because I think I set the tiling one to 1, didn't I? No, 0. But it doesn't matter, it's still in order. So there, I've got that, and what I need to do is copy this cheap contrast, bring it down to here, and do the same for this layer. And then just simply drag into the contrast, and then into the height pin of that layer blend node. Okay, so what this is now is just 2 layers, 2 layers which I can paint onto the landscape. Very easy to do and very simple. So what I can do is save that now, and now when I go back to, yes, they should show up now. The layers have shown up. So don't forget, guys, if you've been following along, you need to add this contrast node into the height input of the layer blend, and that'll enable you to blend the layers together. This is a pretty basic way of doing the paint layers. In future videos in this series for landscape layers, there'll be more detailed ways of blending landscapes together. But this is, like I say, the basic way for the first video. So yeah, as you can see, it's still black. That's because we haven't created the infos, like I said. So on each layer, you don't need to worry about the automatic material yet because there's nothing in there. For layer 1 and layer 2, if you go to this plus icon where it says create layer info, click on that and choose weight blended layer. Let it save it anyway it wants. Just press save, and there it will give me my layer. If we click on this one as well and weight blended layer, save, and it will now allow me to paint these two textures on here. Before I mess with the painting, I'm going to quickly open up the landscape material instance. So if you click on your landscape out of landscape mode, and if you press a little folder with a magnifying glass, it will take you to the material instance and highlight it. Double click on that and it'll open the material instance for your landscape master material. As you can see, I've got my tiling and my layer blend, which are set through the parameters here. This parameter and this parameter here. That's what you're seeing in the instance. It just enables us not to have to keep coming in here all the time to change things. It just means we can change it on the fly. So yeah, as you can see, we're very close. Let's increase that tiling a little bit. As you can see, it is increasing. It's kind of like it's going around in circles. For it to max. No, it looked like it was going around in circles. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Look. Let me go back into this function. Did I change anything in here? No, 1 1. 1 1. They should be fine. It's a bit weird that. Tiling. Is it because it's changing that as well? Right, anyway, let's get back onto the landscaping mode by the thing at the top. Just click on landscape or shift 2, and we're going to paint some grass onto here now. So if I come out here, I'm going to reduce the fall off so I get a straight edge. I'll put it up a little bit. I'm going to reduce the brush. I'm just going to paint, like build the info, and there you go. Now we can actually paint onto the landscape, as you can see, like so. And we're just going to freehand this a little bit so I can work on the blending. Alright, there you go. As you can see, the blending is not great between the materials, but we're going to change that. There's a little bit of blend. Let's jump out of landscaping mode and come back to normal. As you can see, there is not a great amount of blending, but it is blending. It's definitely blending. Like if I set the blending to 0, or whether -1, -5. Oh no, I need to convert this. But anyway, as you can see, the actual moss is going around the height, using the height texture map, going around that rock, and it's blending based on that height texture, which is quite good. If I set this back to 0, 1, 2, 5, 10, like so, you see it is blending together, and it's quite a nice blend. If I set this to 50, it does nothing. 1, 2, 3. You can see the moss here is reducing. So if I put 0.1 there, 1, it starts building them. 5, 55, 100, and it'll just keep blending and blending based off that height map. You can actually blend based off the normal map as well, which can be handy. You just simply drag out your blue pin of the normal and put it in the cheap contrast, like so, into the cheap contrast. Click apply. Just let that compile, and now the blending will be based off the normal map instead of the height map. it's like there now. If I increase this, you can see it's increasing the height, like so. But yeah, we'll keep it with the height map because it looked like that works a bit better for the landscape. I'm going to click apply, click save, back here, and you can see it's back now based off the height. Probably looks a little better based off the height. Well, as you can see, it's going into the grooves in which the height map tells it to. If I reduce the tiling, goes to weird monkey tiling. If I increase it to full, now we've got some decent tiling. So yeah, that is it for this video. This is all about the paint layers and just blending 2 layers together. You can have as many layers as you want. And we've done the tiling. You can blend as many layers as you want together as well, which is useful in some regards. But yeah, that's just simple painting layers onto your landscape. It's the most simplest way of doing it. Just a basic simple way to make painting layers. In the next video, it's going to be about the layers, but I'm going to put the layers into a function, so all this needle graph isn't looking so ugly, and we'll work in them functions, and we will include the distance tiling, which I've already started here. We'll include that in where we've got to, which will be helpful when we're creating our function for each layer as well. So if you enjoyed this video and it was helpful, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions about this video or any other videos, like I said at the start, come and join the Discord and ask me any question you want. So yeah, that's the basic painted layers for landscapes. In upcoming videos in this series, which is going to be about landscape materials, we're going to have a multitude of things like triplanar projection. We're going to have distant tiling, like the next one. There's going to be an auto material on this, hence why we created it in the layer blend. And there's so much more you can add to the layers themselves, like brightness for the albedo, normal intensity, and so on and so on. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe, and wait for the next video. This is Kirk signing out.